Well, good morning, ODPC family. This is Charles Horton, your youth director, and today I want to talk about wrestling with God. Maybe you found yourself in a place where you're just struggling with your faith or trusting God, especially during this time of crisis. And so I want to kind of remind you of this beautiful passage in Scripture. In Psalm 20, starting in verse 1, it states, "In times of trouble, may the Lord answer your cry. May the name of the God of Jacob keep you safe from all harm." Now, what's beautiful about that passage is not just the promise that it tells us, but this phrase, God of Jacob. See, if you know anything about Jacob's life, it's found in Genesis 27 through 33. And you would realize that Jacob's life was a mess. Before he was even born, it says that he wrestled with his brother in his mother's womb. That as a young man, he tricked his brother and lied to his father to steal his brother's birthright. That he had to spend 20 years of his life running and hiding from his brother. That his own immediate family, his wives and his kids, that life was filled with turmoil. And in Genesis 32, he finds himself in this wrestling match with God, and two things come from it. One, he leaves with a limp, but then second, he left with a new name, that God named him Israel, which means because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome. That while there are phrases in scriptures like the God of Israel, the God of Moses, the God of David, when we read those passages, it kind of conjures up these amazing stories in scriptures of men with great faith. But the phrase, the God of Jacob, is a window of hope. It's the assurance of scripture that your past isn't important when you cry out to God. That the God of Jacob is the God that knows you are wrestling with your faith. He's the God that knows you're wrestling with your own doubts and insecurities. He's the God that knows you are wrestling with issues of pride and selfish desires. And that the God of Jacob is inviting you to wrestle with him, to have that open and honest conversation through prayer with him, so that he can show you what it means to find a life filled with joy and peace only found through trusting him. So please, no matter where you're at in your journey in faith, never believe you have to clean yourself up enough to start that open, honest conversation with God. Stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you again in person soon.